Yo, 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 you already know who it is. It's your boy, Mr. I Am Eddie Jackson, and we back with the 15th episode of the Director's Den podcast. Listen, I've been just overwhelmed with just joy, man. Just everybody's just really been rocking with us, supporting us. I say it every week, man. Make sure you go click, like, follow, subscribe. You know, we do it for the community. Like I said, great conversations with great people equals longevity, and that's the rule here. This is episode 15, and you already know we got a good interview for you. This is, I think it's probably maybe my most exclusive one to me, just because of the fact, you know, I just feel like I've gotten to know this man, just as a brother, as a leader, as a pastor, as a business owner. I mean, bro wears so many hats, and somebody just that you just look up to in everyday life. You know what I mean? Y'all know how I get with the intros, man. You know, I'm trying to outdo Shannon Sharp every time Shannon, I don't know, bro, be coming up with some crazy stuff. But I'm introducing Yaves Ellis. Yes, sir. I'm gonna go ahead and give you the name up front. A beacon of resilience and faith, whose childhood was shaped by the harsh realities of the inner city life. Despite facing adversity, Yaves found solace in music, transforming his struggles into messages of hope. Now a father, pastor, community advocate, Yaves shares his journey of overcoming addiction and adversity, inspiring others to believe in better days ahead. Join us this episode 15 on the Director's Den podcast, as we delve into Yaves Ellis' life, remarkable story of redemption and empowerment. Help me welcome my guy, Mr. Yaves Ellis, Pastor Yaves
Appreciate it, man.
What's going on, family?
Oh, man, listen, first of all, just thank you even having me on here.
Oh, for sure.
Shout out to what y'all been doing, man. Like, I've been watching from afar, and episode 15 is crazy because people start podcasts, they start things, and it don't last even 15.
Man,
even 5, you know what I'm saying?
Man,
so
you know, consistency. You know, consistency is key,
y'all, man.
And you know, just celebrating the small wins.
Yeah.
You know, that's something I learned from Elder Wingrove.
Facts.
And marriage counseling. He
Yes.
said, y'all got to learn how to start celebrating the small wins. So, you know, I've adapted that to life, man.
Yeah.
But it's just a pleasure that you know, was able to come down. And I know life is,
I'm excited,
life
man.
be busy.
Life be lifing, you know what I mean?
life be lifing. But I mean, you're doing some amazing things, bro. I just want to start with just really your childhood, man, because I feel like to understand Yaves, you kind of got to understand that other side.
Yeah.
And that's one thing I learned, you know what I mean? Just about you, like if you coming in on this side, like, to really understand the person you are, you kind of gotta know the background, man. Talk about childhood. How was life growing up for you here in Columbus, Ohio, man?
So you know, I got similar stories to a lot of, you know, African American, underprivileged, you know what I mean, grew up in the inner city. But for me, I think I witnessed so much so young, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so, you know, I had a mother who dealt with a crack cocaine addiction. My biological father wasn't around. My stepfather dabbled, you know, in and out when he was doing. And so at a very young age, I had to find a way to grow up quick, and to really shield my sisters from the things that I was seeing. You know what I mean? Having 2 younger sisters and being, you know, front row to life was difficult. But it's amazing because even though my mom went through all her struggles, like, I still had a great mother. You know what I mean? She still made sure that I was taken care of. You know, still made sure that I was fed. So even though she was dealing with her situation, she still made sure we were taken care of. And so one thing that she did was she instilled faith in me early. You know what I mean? So even though she wasn't, quote unquote, living like she should have been living, she made sure that I was around people who could sow into me. So growing up, man, like, I remember, like, Saturdays we'd be at the mosque with the Nation of Islam. Sunday I'd be at church. Tuesday I'm with the 5%ers learning about, you know what I'm saying? Like, it was crazy growing up, right? But I got
why all those different
I
religions and faces?
I think for her, you know, the neighborhood we grew up in, right on Atchison, like, there was a mosque down the street, you know what I'm saying? So they serving food on the weekends. Then on Sunday, church, they serving food, you know what I'm saying?
So every place kind of served the purpose.
Served the purpose,
for
right?
your life,
So she's sending me to these places, and I'm learning stuff. And so what was pivotal for me though is I went to a church called ASAC. It was a African American Spiritual Awareness Crusade. So this church was like, they was Christians, but they was about
the name of the
blackness.
church?
Yes, African American Awareness Spiritual Crusade, bruh.
Tell me they had an acronym on the sign.
ASAC was AASAC, but
Okay.
it was dope because the pastor would connect with the mosque, like the Nation of Islam, and they would come and do community stuff together. And so they wouldn't like trying to necessarily say that our religion is better than your religion. It was like, man, let's come together. This community needs us, whatever.
Right.
So one Sunday, I'm at church and he's talking about this guy named Jabez in the Bible. And my name Yaves. You know, people brutalize my name. Like, you know, I got a different name.
Right.
So that stuck with me. And he like, and Jabez cried out to the God of Israel, bless me indeed, increase my territory. And it said that God granted what he requested. So I'm like, at a young age, I'm like, man, like, I wonder if I pray to this God that Jabez prayed to, I wonder if like he had answered my prayer. You know what I'm saying? Like, is this real? So I prayed. I'm like, Lord, like, I knew my mom was dealing with drug addiction. Like, I didn't know what it was. Like, I didn't know what crack cocaine really was at that young of an age, but I knew something was off.
Right.
So I'm like, Lord, like, if this God is real, like, get my mom off of whatever she on. Kid you not, like, 2 days later, I go home, I'm at the crib, walk upstairs, my mom is like taking her crack pipes and just busting them in the toilet. I mean, like in the toilet and in the tub. She's like, I'm going to rehab this week. You ain't gonna see me for a while. So that was like
the word
yeah,
taking activation in your life and you seeing it
as a kid, you know what I mean? And so at a very early age, me seeing that, it didn't make me like, I wasn't just like a super Christian from then on. You know what I'm saying? I still had my own little stuff that I got into, but I always had an element of faith. And so even though I was around all of it, you know what I'm saying? Like I was in the thick of it. I was in it, but removed from it at the same time, you know what I'm saying? It was because of the faith that I had that I always was able to just instill and keep myself, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so I had very similar stories. You know, I got friends who got caught up, and grace be to God, I didn't get caught up.
Right.
Friends that, you know, buried in the grave, but grace be to God, I didn't get that same fate. So that was my childhood, you know what I mean? And I found that music was a very, very huge tool for me to be able to kind of step away from the trauma, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, you know, I think a lot of people deal with trauma, you know what I'm saying? Or things that happen to you, but you don't really understand how much it impacts you if you don't have an outlet.
Right.
So even what you doing, like this is your outlet, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like
It
I know
is.
for a fact if you didn't have this, like
therapy for me,
you know
for
what I mean?
sure.
Because I know you know what I'm saying? Like you know what I mean? If you ain't had this, you know what I mean? You need this.
Right. Nah, that's a fact, bro. I think we all have our different ways that we have to have an outlet, right? Because we all go through different stuff in life, bro. Everybody's just because you a pastor or just because you're a business owner, just because you're an athlete, don't mean that you ain't dealing with life.
Yeah.
On the other side.
Yes.
And people only see what they see.
Yep.
And you only allow them to see what they see. You know what I mean? But you got to have an outlet. This is definitely therapy for me. It's one of the reasons why I created it, man, just to be able to create a community.
I think it's important what you just said, too, because, you know, we wear so many hats. And I think just as black men, period, we wear a lot of hats. So, like, I only want you to see, like, the successful, like, the got it all figured out, the polished part. And so we spend so much time, like, putting on that we never get a chance to deal with who we really are.
Yeah.
And I think that's what I've learned, you know, in my process. Like, you're still just a man at the end of the day. You know what I'm saying? So you business owner, pastor, you know, but you're a man at the end of the day. And you got to be okay with being able to just be yourself. Like, long as I can go home and sleep at night saying, like, you know what? I wasn't out there shucking and jiving for nobody. You know what I'm saying? I wasn't being a fake for nobody. I was being my authentic self. Like, that's what's important.
Nah, I think you hit on something there where you know, I think a lot of, especially black men, I feel like we just don't know how to manage that piece because one, it's not taught. You know what I mean? It's not nothing that's just generationally ruled, passed down. You know, like, learn this. But I definitely think that, you know, a lot of us get caught up in this microwave generation. You know, you're supposed to create something and pop the next day, right? And, you know, one of the things I've learned, man, and just from different mentors, such as Justin Porter, my guy down in Atlanta, Roger, just these guys, man, that are already very well established. Yeah. They tell you, man, it only comes, though, with time and faith, right? Like, you gotta, like, see it happen. You gotta believe it to happen. because all these guys have been in my position. They all worked in corporate America.
Yep.
They always working for somebody at one point in time, and they just tell you consistency.
Yep.
You know, and man, my boy Justin Porter, man, he probably one of the greatest videographers I've ever seen in my life, as far as like just from storytelling and weddings. He told me last year, he said, "E, I want you to learn how to just be you, and you need to express you."
Yeah.
And I don't think, like, when you create for other people, and this is way off topic of what we talking about today, but when you create for other people, you know, you'll do a very good job at telling your story, but you're hiding your own story. And he said, what I found that works best is to, like, pour into you, man. Like, they tell you when you're on an airplane and it's about to go down and a mask drop, put one on you first. You know what I mean? Like, and then, you know, try to assist in helping somebody else, because if you ain't not taking care of you, you no good to nobody. And then that always leads to burnout. And so that's like one of the spaces that I've really just been in when I launched the Directors Den, and just dealing with life, bro, dealing with people, navigating business, trying to figure out my own personal stuff, niches and different things like that, family. Like you said, all those hats that you wear. You have to manage them well. Being a pastor, being an entrepreneur, being a father, right? We got some things that's just first ministries before the bread. You know what I mean? How do you navigate that space outside of what some people would probably just think typical? Prayer. You know, he's a pastor. He probably he has a really good prayer life. And for the person that's not that Christian, that's not subscribed to the faith, what pointers could you give them to kind of man that until they get there?
Man, I would say what helps me out tremendously, I always say this, is I could not do what I do without my wife. You know what I'm saying? I got a great helpmate. Like, when God talks about he who finds a wife finds a good thing, I got a good thing. You know what I'm saying? And you can probably attest to this. You can't do this right now without your wife having your kids right now.
I mean, you know,
sons, you know what I'm saying?
Would have been like, nah, what? You help me put the kids, you know what I mean? Like, my wife definitely gives a lot of leeway for me to be able to grow.
That's a big part of it, you know what I'm saying? Making sure that, you know, she supports what I do. She's on board with what I do. But I make sure that she is the priority, you know what I'm saying? She got to be the priority. She got to understand. I over-communicate, you know, that kind of stuff. And then also, I think I just really understand my life's mission. And it's not, you know, about me. It's all about community. You know what I'm saying? So whenever I meet people or I'm in a space, I'm trying to figure out, okay, this space may not be for me. It may be for EJ.
Right.
So it's like, what's the opportunity here that I can put him in position? Because I may not always be, quote unquote, on top. So I want to get as many homies as possible in a position where if I ever fall off,
that's a sign of a great leader, though.
I can make that call, EJ.
That's a
you know what I'm
sign
saying?
of a great leader.
You see
know
what I'm
I
saying?
mean? Like, being able to put people in position to be able to kind of, you know, move. Because, I mean, nothing's forever, right? I mean, that's LeBron got to build up Bronny. You know what I mean? Because eventually, I want to play with you. But, bro, this is going to be a whole new league, bro. I'm the oldest one here. I should have been checked out for real, but I'm waiting on you. You know what I mean? And I think that's powerful. You talk about your wife, and you talk about having a backbone, and you talk about having that support system. I think a lot of people don't have that, right? And I mean, a lot of people just chase the facade. I think even married folk that have the support don't even view it that same way, right?
They don't tap into it like they should.
At all, man. And I think, you know, a lot of times, man, we spend a lot of times covering, you know, what other people have, and, you know, just looking at other people and saying, oh, I should have that. I should have that. I can only speak from, you know, say that because I've been that way. You know what I mean? And I feel like it's just as of the last few years where I really, like, have opened my mind, like, bro, like, you can't be everything, right? Mind you, my wife will tell you flat out, like, EJ is a dreamer, and he's a good dreamer because you're very talented in a lot of different spaces, but dialing in on what God has for you, and you talked about that being the second piece, the mission. What is your mission here? You know? I think, you know, I just had a good friend that passed away at 33, and I look at myself and I'm like, he died going home, fell asleep at the wheel randomly, right? On a random Friday. Wow. It's almost like, but maybe his mission was fulfilled. Sometimes I be feeling like God to get you up out of here when he feel like job well done. You know what I mean? And so, you know, it's that mission piece. When you talk about your mission, what do you feel? What is that? You
Yeah.
know, what make that plain and clear?
Man, so I think, you know what I mean, I try to subscribe and try to make sure that everything I do is from a lens of faith, you know what I'm saying? So when I look at scripture, you know what I mean, like Jeremiah 3:15 is like highly important to me because it spoke to me as a kid. Like it says, I'll give you pastors according to my own heart, and they'll feed you with knowledge and understanding. And when you think about like our culture, like our people, you know, one thing that we lack sometimes is the knowledge and understanding. And so since we lack the knowledge, since we lack the understanding, what we find sometimes is that we're left to our own devices. You know what I mean? And so we internalize lies, we internalize things that aren't true, and we allow that to be who we are. And so my life's mission really, man, again, is to bring people knowledge, to bring people understanding. And I do that from a lens of faith, but I also do that from a lens of love. You know what I mean? Like, I believe you cannot be able to lead somebody somewhere if you don't have empathy for them and you don't care about who they are. And if you only want something from them, like that relationship is just, you know, transactional.
Yeah.
But I don't like the transactional relationship. Like, again, I always talk about building community, building family, because I believe that God has set me on earth to build up other people so that, you know, they can reach back and build somebody else up.
Right.
Like that's just what I firmly believe, man.
Right.
Like somebody got a gift or a talent. I'm trying to figure out out of the resources that I have, how I can help them out. So I want to be a resource be a resource to somebody else.
Is that because maybe growing up as a child, like, and dealing with some of the things that you had to go through,
For sure.
it seemed like everything that played a piece in your life was a resource.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
so it's almost like you just trying to do what was done for you.
Bro, I know without a shadow of a doubt, if it wasn't for like the places that my parents put me in, even in their chaos, in their mess, like if it wasn't for the people that stepped in and was, you know, knocking on my mom's door to make sure we have food, and knocking on my mom's door to be like, hey, we, you know, the kids need to be at school. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like if that wasn't a part of my life and a part of my community, I wouldn't be where I am today. And so that's why I always try to make sure that I build community or be a resource for somebody who wants to help. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So some people don't want to put the work in. You know what I mean? Some
Yeah.
people want
They just
all
want
of
the
this
gimmies,
without putting the work
Yeah.
in. You know what I'm saying? And I think, you know, that's my biggest thing. If I see you willing to put the work in, I see you trying, I see you investing in yourself, I'm willing to invest in you.
Right, right. And I mean, I feel like it should always be a two-way street. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? When you talk about building relationships and you talk about navigating relationships, 'cause, I mean, all business relationships don't stay business relationships, right?
Facts.
And I mean, it could be easily that way, right? I mean, people do it every day. You go clock in at a 9 to 5. Ain't no personal here.
Nah.
Strictly business. I
Yeah.
might have to let you go. I might have to keep you. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like, but when you talk about, like, as an entrepreneur, you talk about building community, talking about keeping people in the faith. You're talking about like navigating a real sensible and vulnerable spot for a lot of people.
Yeah.
When you talk about like your music and like growing up, obviously you had a past and you had things that you were going through, and then you kind of drifted off into this music space.
Yeah.
And then you talk about how that was therapy for you. What from the music did you feel like you benefited the most from? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because a lot of people I got a lot of friends that are artists and
Yeah.
stuff, and not everybody's like that trapper rapper,
Yeah.
right? Like you got a lot of very like just conscious, you know, woke artists, right? Like they speak logically, they talking about things that's going on in the world, but I don't really feel like they're not going anywhere because they're not getting anything from it, and they're not giving anything to the industry.
Yeah.
What do you feel like you get from your music and your artistry, and what are you giving as well?
Yeah. So the get for me is the opportunity to be able to take what God has given me. Like I know I got this gift and this talent, and to be able to say, all right, Lord, I'm not going to squander it. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm not going to sit on it. I'm not going to overthink it. But I also know you have something for me to say in it, right? And so I believe that every gift that we have, every talent that we have, it allows us to speak for God or speak about God through that talent.
Gotcha.
So that's what I give out of it. You know what I'm saying? I give the opportunity to be able to educate people, to be able to encourage people, and ultimately to be able to point people to God. What I get back from it is really like I have to sometimes go back and listen to certain stuff to remind myself of where I was at that particular time of my life, but also to encourage myself and say, like, you said this, so now you gotta live according to this. You know what I'm saying? Like, do you believe what you put out?
That's probably one of the things that create all these facades out here, because
Yeah.
people get to on these tracks and they get to
Facts.
talking about what they doing, this and that.
Yeah.
Now, when I see you out in public, you gotta
Yeah.
be about that,
Yep.
right?
Yep. So that's a big part of it. And I was blessed to be able to really see the world. Like, you know what I'm saying? Me doing music, you know, I think what's so incredible about just being creative, period, like the space we in now, like people are going to see you out one day, and it probably already happens all the time. Like, bro, the podcast was crazy. Like, this is what I got from it. And in your mind, you like, man, I'm just at my, you know what I'm saying, at my studio, putting out content.
Right.
But you don't realize like that this content is going to reach somebody in another country, in another state. You're like, dang, this is phenomenal. And I think that's what really was a blessing to me when I would get people from Amsterdam or people from Tokyo like rocking to the music. I'm like, this is crazy. I'm making music in my bedroom. You know what I'm saying? Like, how is this happening?
From Atchison to Japan, and that's crazy.
Crazy.
Yeah, nah.
Crazy. So I think that's what I got of it. Like, it made me understand that God can take what you think is just a hobby, you know what I'm saying, and do something magnificent with it.
Yeah, I also think people should really remember why God gave you the gift, right? I think a lot of people don't tap into that. Like, they have this this musical, gift, but they have like the spiritual paralysis, right? Like, to where they really just don't understand the gift, right? It took me a while, but when I finally realized, I was like, dang, my first camera was given to me for free. This is the whole reason why I used to sponsor people, why I used to just say, like, you know, I know I'm growing as a creative, but like, I do this for you for free for a whole year. Why? Because I feel like everything, all my start in my beginning was given to me. That means somebody had enough faith in me. Multiple people had enough faith in me to just invest. And I think when you realize that, it really starts to tailor your purpose and start to tailor the things that you're doing. I don't want to keep everything so serious. Aaron Leroy. I don't know why I keep saying your name like that. I don't know, but Aaron, forgive me. You know I love you. Aaron Leroy said, you was there. It was his album. He said that y'all got into like a rap. Battle in a bathroom at Whitehall. Talk about that, because he said his side, but I want to hear your side.
All right, so you know, in high school, I was doing music and had a little buzz, and you know, battle rapping was really like in. You know what I mean? And so we would go to different schools or different football games, and you know, they got their rappers there. You know, I pull up like, what's up? You know what I'm saying? Like, so, you know, I'm on a nice little run.
Paint this picture, bro. You pull up to the football game, right?
Game.
It's you and who?
It's me and a couple of guys from Whitehall. Okay, you know, and the homies.
You on the gospel side?
I'm still, you know, I'm not cussing nothing belligerent, but I'm just, you know, I'm getting to it, like, you know what I'm saying? So we pull up, you know what I'm saying, and I knew of Aaron because Aaron was doing like production and stuff.
Okay.
So he had this young dude that was nice, like, you know what I mean, like he was nice. And so Aaron kept talking about how nice he was, whatever. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna pull up to the game, like I want to see, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we get to the game, and it's like during the game, you know what I mean? So normally people watching, they all flood to the bathroom. So it's like
soon as you walk in, like, people know
people
it's
know
you.
People know what's about to happen. People know. That's what we've been doing. We've been doing this. You know what I mean? You know what I mean?
Up at random
schools,
battle rapping.
And we gonna date ourselves, but like it wasn't no like phones. You know what I'm saying? It was like people had the camcorders. They had the camcorder joints out.
Yeah.
So, you know, Aaron beatboxing on the, you know, you know what I'm saying, doing the beat on the little stall, and you know, I get busy, you know what I'm saying?
That's
now,
crazy.
You know, they did their thing, you know what I mean? But I'm undefeated, you know what I mean? So, but from that situation, you know, me and Aaron begin to build, him as a producer, me doing music. I think a couple of years after that, we was in LA together with Jamie Foxx, Nickelodeon, all this kind of crazy stuff, you know what I'm saying? But again, it started like something small, just a seed that was planted, and next thing we know, we on the other side of the country, you know what I'm saying, doing it together.
Right. Yep. I think there's a courageous and honor and boldness, right? And a lot of people click that way. You see a lot of, especially in the music industry, when two people start going head to head.
Yeah.
Next thing you know, either they on an album together. Why?
Yep.
Because you know, at the end of the day, it's all
Yeah.
art, right?
It's all art.
Artistry. As long as you don't say nothing too crazy.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah. You can't
we
go. You
cool,
can't be
you
going
know
crazy.
what I mean?
Yeah.
Right. Now, you was an artist at a very young age. You
Yeah.
traveled. I know your dad, right? He
Yeah.
did music, right?
Yeah.
He was in music.
Yeah.
Okay.
So what's crazy about my story? So my father, John Ellis, who really is my stepfather. That's my not my biological father.
That's your father.
Yeah. So he was traveling in the music industry with a group called Midnight Star. You know what I'm saying? So Midnight Star is a big old school group, but I mean Japan. I mean anywhere you can think of, they've been there. So growing up, like I would see that. It would be gold plaques in the house, platinum plaques in the house. You know what I mean? And so as I started to like kind of get an eye for music and like mess with it, dabbling and writing, he ended up managing a group called Roar, which was the older, like older guys. They was like 19 to 20 years old, and I'm like 7, 8 years old. So I'll be in the studio with them all the time. So one day they're like, "Hey, you wanna be a hype man for the show?" So I hype man a show. You know what I mean?
You really had the real Tupac journey,
you know what I mean?
bro.
Like straight up,
real Pac journey.
hype man. You know what I'm saying, for a show. So we went from there, hype man at 7, 8 years old, to now touring with them, getting on the album, doing my own thing, like. And what's amazing is my biological father also did music. He was like in a group as a singer. You know what I'm saying? I ain't get the singing vocals. You know what I'm saying?
Go ahead,
Sorry about that. I ain't get the vocals.
Let me
But,
see
you
you
know
on
what I'm saying?
Sunday.
Right. Hit the note. You feel me? But I'm talking about like the kind of 5 heartbeats type of group. You know what I'm saying? Where they even
back in the day, over the fire in the trash can.
Yeah. So I think music had always been something that I've been inclined to do. So music ended up being, really in my blood without even knowing it. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And I think that was cool, and it opened up so many doors. And I always thought, music was gonna be the end all be all. I never thought I'd be pastoring. You know what I'm saying? But when you think about what that did for me, it allowed me to be on stages and not be afraid to be in front of people, to be able to articulate, to be able to take words and make people understand, saying a message. So like all that is what it takes to be a good communicator.
Yeah.
And so it was a door opener for me. Even in my business, it was a door opener. You know what I'm saying? Because it allowed me to be able to negotiate, you know what I'm saying? To be in different rooms and different spaces.
Right, because
and
you
be
was
able
doing
to talk
that
to
for a
the
while
crowds
now.
for a minute, you know what I'm saying? So, when I think about just my growth musically, it lended so much to what I'm doing now in my career. You know what I mean? And that's how I think people got to understand. Like, what you're doing now may not even be the end all be all. You know what I'm saying? It's just a stepping stool for where you about to be next. You know what I'm saying?
And I feel like that's probably one of the reasons why I'm really big on, like, don't put yourself in a box. I understand it, like, now, because I've been in an industry for as long as I've been in, that, eventually you do have to, like, dial it back and understand where you fit. I used to think weddings was, like, gonna be, like, my baby. I would love that, right?
And you fire at that.
And I love doing weddings, but it's like that ain't really there's not really a big market for the type of weddings that I do. That I've transitioned to doing a more narrative style approach, right? And so, when you talk about like transitioning different industries, like, I've learned that, my boy Al Battle, Al, he tells me daily, like reminds me daily, like, separate bag from passion, right? And that's the same way that you got to treat people in business. It's the same way you got, because you operating in passion, like, but you trying to get a bag from passion. You doing stuff for people, and I can see it from a mile away, in hopes that you can build a relationship with them enough. Like we just talked about offline, you know what I mean? Like, bro, you see the podcast, the AI stuff, you jump on it. But the ultimate goal of trying to do it was to almost like take advantage of it versus just allowing you to shine, right? Just like you do this, right? Like, when you do it, you ain't gotta ask nobody to do it for them.
Facts.
And just allow the work to come to you, right? Versus like going out there. And I think sometimes, you having a network and be polished as you was coming up with rap. Myself, I've been in sales all my life. Sometimes it's hard not to put that foot forward. In certain areas, right? Like, I'm doing, like, right now, you go to my website, like, I was like, bro, like you need a different website for each one of these like sectors of the business, because you're doing headshots, you're doing trying to run that as a separate business. You're doing sports and branding. You're trying to run that as a separate business.
Yep.
And I get it, like all of you want all of it to fall under the umbrella of KFC Images, but like when you talk about getting to the bag versus passion, they care about niche.
Yeah.
They care about what you do very well.
Yep.
And that's it, right? And so when you think about all that, man, talk about some of the challenges that you had to face just as being a man of God, being an artist, being a creative, being exposed to not only, I mean, some people will be exposed to this stuff and start fanning out, right?
Yeah.
Like, I'm sure you probably been in rooms with people that if such and such would be in the room with them, they just, you know what I mean? Just start fanboying. Like, how do you navigate those challenges, and how did you navigate those challenges to get you where you at now?
Yeah. So part of this, you have to have some form of, I'm supposed to be in the space, right? There's a balance between like, I've worked hard to get here and I'm also honored to be here, right? You know what I mean? So it's a balance of like, I'm supposed to be here, and then humility, you know what I'm saying?
Right,
so it's like, it's like when you step into a space, you know that you know what you're doing, you know your craft,
right.
you know you're, one of the best at it, but you're also open to learning, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I think that's the balance of, you know what I'm saying, what has been able to help me, because I know that I'm good enough to be in the space. You know what I'm saying? Like, I know my stuff well enough, but I'm also still excited and still honored to be able to be into the space, because it's still only by the grace of God that I'm here.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
I tell people all the time, like, the only thing that separates you from me is the opportunities that we get and that we're afforded, right?
Yeah.
I'm not in that room with them. I wasn't in that room, right?
Yep.
Like, you got that opportunity. And I think once you can, like, separate that too, like, that you stop hating, all hate stops, all coveting stops, all that stuff stops when you realize, like, that's for him.
Yes.
That's for them, right? Like, that's not for me. And I feel like, I ain't gonna lie, bro, like, I've been shooting for like 10 years.
Yeah.
I'm just now getting to that space to where I'm understanding, like, nah, bro, like, that's for them.
Yep.
Like, you ain't gotta jump in that space and try to do X, Y, and Z, right? Like, no matter how good you is, and I think our problem is growing up, we didn't have social media.
Yeah.
So we was so into so many different things.
Yep.
Like, we rapping with your homies, you doing this, you hooping, you trying to play football, you a tri-sport athlete, you running around the neighborhood crazy, you trying to be with the girl, like, it's so many different things that we were exposed to outside of technology.
Facts.
That I feel like sometimes it's made us like ADHD, you know, like, because we just so used to having our hands in stuff,
so much
right?
Stuff,
Nowadays, these kids ain't ADHD because they just on the phone. They just behind technology, doing whatever they got to do. Yeah. And so it's easy to keep a narrow lane. This is what I do. This is how I'm going to present myself. Yeah. You know what I mean? And I be trying to help the young guys like get it sometimes. Like, bro, they be like, you do so much. I'm like, bro, because I feel like I can't just settle, right? Like, I come from the generation of my dad telling me, don't put all your eggs in one basket. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, because what happens, that drops, and then you need to have something to fall back on. Yeah. You look at the model of NFL, NBA players, even college now. Yeah. Man, nothing's forever. Eventually, LeBron got to hang it up, right? Eventually, he got to hang it up, and he has to have something to fall back on. Yeah. Right? Like, he has to be wanting to do something else. Like, and so, I think, your story, man, when you look at just from the beginning to even just probably up through that point, bro, it's so much intricate like details in there, bro, that and it's crazy because I didn't know who you was until I came home from college. Yeah. And my wife, she was my girlfriend at the time. She had just moved back to Columbus. So I was like, yeah, I'm coming back home too. And then that's when I came to New Birth. She was like, all right, well, if you want to be my boy, you gotta go to church. And and I was like, I ain't gonna lie, I was wild, bro. Like,
chasing her, I'm gonna chase you to church. I'll be there.
I was like, whatever.
Right.
And it's so crazy though how those little moments like those and how people play those spots in your life. Yeah. Right? Like, if my wife wouldn't have been that way, bro, I probably wouldn't have developed half the relationships I have.
It's crazy.
Who knows if I would have got out of a lot of the dumb stuff I was doing. You know what I mean? Like, and so when you think about that, man, who in your life has played like some of the most like pivotal roles? And just give me like 3 people, your top 3 people that you feel like have played a pivotal role in your development and your growth, and why?
I would say my pops was just very, very like every day, hands on, anything that I wanted to do that I believed that I was gonna be good at, he thought I was the best at too. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so he put the time, he put the energy to manage my music career, to manage my speaking career, and you know we together, we was together every day. You know what I'm saying? And so he may tell you now, well, I don't get a chance to kick it with him every day now. But I'm like, I got a whole family, I got this. You know what I mean? But I always tell him like, man, you did your part. Like you did what you're supposed to do. Without you, there would be no me doing this right now. So he was very, very pivotal. And he did a good job of connecting me with other people that could look over me and be around when he wasn't around. You know what I mean? Another guy named Trip Hopkins. You know what I'm saying? Like I used to be at the Columbus Urban League all the time.
Okay.
Operation Brightside Team was a program as a teenager that I was in. Where they got me internships, you know what I'm saying? Taught me the game, you know what I'm saying?
Crazy.
Like
Okay.
it was amazing.
And
so,
look now, you got business relationships with them.
yeah,
That's crazy.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? I never knew that.
It's just phenomenal. So that, like, I grew up in the Columbus Urban League. So I didn't hung out with all the CEOs that they done had in the past 15 years, all that kind of stuff. So that's been a blessing. So my pops, Trip Hopkins, and I gotta say my mom. My mom was just seeing her story, seeing her come from addiction to now owning a drug and alcohol counseling agency, like that's just phenomenal to me.
Powerful.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so seeing their stories of resiliency, seeing their stories of just being honest and being transparent, I think that's part of it too. Like you have to be able to be transparent and honest with your kids.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, listen, this is what I did. This is what I went through.
Right.
Cause she always tell me like, I don't want you to make it big and then, you know, somebody start
find something out about me.
You know what I mean? Put it up, you know, a
That's
diss
crazy
record, you know
that
what I'm
she
saying?
had that much faith though, right?
You feel
to
me?
like say, like to look, be forward thinking like, man, I believe so much in what you got. And I believe God has got something crazy in you that I'm going to just go ahead and keep everything real so that when it does happen, it's like, what we've been talking about this part of my story. You know what I mean? Like that's fire, bro. That's dope.
Yeah, I know from where I came, so I don't walk with no shame. You know what I'm saying? Like I know my past, I know where I come from, all that. You know
I think a lot of people don't. I think a lot of people don't have that, right? A lot of people didn't get that, aren't afforded that opportunity.
Facts.
Even if they come from a dual parent home, there's so many secrets, so many things that come out afterwards because people don't be honest. One thing I think my pops about. Just always, no matter how harsh it's gonna sound, he might say it with a laugh. He might say it with crazy. You might look at him like, did you just say that? Like, you know what I mean? Like, he don't care. He's just gonna give you how he feels raw, right? Man. And a lot of times I found that's been the saving grace when I can look back on those moments and I can think about what he said. You know, he always tell me, I ain't gonna always be here.
Facts.
And these are the things like, look, bro, you know what I mean? He might say it in a way I'm like, cover my kids.
Yeah, like,
ears,
all right, now,
now. I get it. You know what I mean? But I think that transparency in homes with your kids is very, very honorable. You know what I mean? Talk about kids, you're a father. Yeah. Outside of rapping, outside of, you know, battles at Whitehall with the homies, outside of traveling, you're a father, you're a pastor, you're a husband. Talk about that piece of life, bro. How has that been for you, man?
I love fatherhood, man. I think it really taught me a lot about myself, my relationship with God, because, you know, like your sons can't do nothing that'll make you not want to be their dad no more.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, of course, you're going to whoop them. They going to get on your nerves. You know what I'm saying? You're going to yell, but they always going to be your sons. You know what I mean? And I think that's what the relationship taught me about even me and God. You know what I'm saying? So my son teaches me a lot about myself. You know what I mean? I always say he gonna be the sequel, man. Like, he going to be better than me. But what I love about it is that you see a lot of yourself. You see your stubbornness. You know what I'm saying? Like, you see... you see the childhood wonder that you used to have. Right. And you're like, man, I gotta get back to that. You know what I'm saying? Like my daughter is spicy. Like she different. You know what I'm saying? But I love it because I always think about how crazy the world is. And, you know, and just in my prayer life, I'd be like, Lord, this is just a crazy world we live in, right? Like, we grew up in a crazy world. You know what I'm saying? But they're going to have to deal with some stuff that,
I'm like, you
know what I mean?
I feel like we didn't even have to, like, really,
you feel me?
Like,
but
eyes on.
I believe, though, just in their personalities and how they are, like, they're built for it. They're going to be all right. You know what I'm saying? That's what I love about it.
I think so, too, bro. I think kids, Because I mean, it's just like when we was growing up, and
Yeah.
our parents was like trying to understand our ways, and we like, Mom, like, nah, it ain't
Yeah.
like that. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like, you try to explain it to them. I think that's why it's important to grow up with your kids and do
Yeah.
life with your kids. You know what I
Yes.
mean? Like, and don't put their life in nobody else's hands.
Nah.
You know what I mean? Like, I tell people all the time, bro, build a community, but don't lead a community.
Facts.
You know what I mean? Because
That's
a lot
important.
of people, bro, will build a community just to lead their kids. Now
Mhm.
you dropping them off over here
Yeah.
all the time over here. Yeah, he said
Yeah.
want to see him. Yeah, go
Yeah.
over there. That's
Yep.
Uncle Yav.
Yeah,
Yeah, go
right.
holla at Uncle Yav. Hey, Yav, I'll be back.
Right,
You know
right,
what I mean?
right.
And then you miss out on those moments, bro.
Yeah.
And so, it's just dope seeing you, because I feel like you're not the type of person to post that much anymore.
Yeah.
And you probably never always been like
Yeah.
a real big poster, but when you do post, you post your family.
Yeah, see, the career that I'm in forces me to be like on social media, forces me to talk to everybody. Like, but I'm really like behind it. I like to be chilling, like out the way,
Introvert.
ducked off. Yeah, very much so. But I also am very proud of like what my kids are doing. Like my son's an incredible soccer player.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? My daughter is just incredibly gifted in what she does. And all of my family, my nieces, nephews, all of them are just doing great. So I like to support them in that way. And it's very important to me that I'm present. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I think that's important, because those are things that they're gonna remember. They're not gonna remember necessarily that their dad was a successful businessman or pastor this large church, whatever.
Right.
They're gonna remember that I was present, that I was there. You know what I
Right.
mean? So I try to do everything I can when I can to be there. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I feel like, especially in this day and age, bro, like a lot of kids don't have that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm sure as kids grow up, man, they know kids that don't have that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And when you look at your kids, you look at not only yourself, but you look at what is the better version of you, right? What you could have been, and it's like now you can make tweaks, right? You're making tweaks to really like things you wouldn't have did, like. Nah, don't do that.
Facts.
Like, I'm gonna save you,
Facts.
spare you though.
Let me ask you this though. I know you interviewing me, but I'm gonna ask you this. I ask you a question all the time.
Hey, we ain't never had this on the directors, man.
Because you grew up similar to how I grew up. You've seen some stuff. You experienced some stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And God willing, I know you're not going to allow your children to go through the same stuff that you went through.
Yeah.
So it's like, how do you plan to find that balance? Because I think those things are beneficial to us. Like I do believe that growing up where we grew up was beneficial to where I am now.
I do, man. I feel like the generation that we have now, bro. Like, I feel like there's a lot wrong with it. I feel like, but I can see both sides.
Yeah.
Obviously, I ain't raising my kid in the hood. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, I'm out here in Pickerington. Like, I don't own a home out here, but sure, I'm like,
Out here.
I'm out here. You know what I mean? Like, what's up? You know what I mean? Because I got to see it, and because I got to see both sides.
Yeah.
Like, my dad, when we moved out to Pickerington, it was 02, bro.
Yeah.
I'm 12. I just lost my mother. You know what I mean? My dad just, we was fighting every day. We grew up off Fifth Avenue and the Peters, you know what I mean? And, in the heart of it, I accidentally got, not accidentally, I got shot, you know what I mean, when I was 12, right before. And my dad just wanted to see a better life. And when I moved out here, bro, it was just like a sense of peace, bro, that was always like, you ain't had that in the hood, bro. Like, you get off on 256, bro, or you get off on, my favorite is to just get off on 204, you know what I mean? And it's like, bro, it's like, so it just wipes away every negative thing.
That's crazy, ain't it? It's crazy.
So I vowed, bro, when I went to college, I said, I don't care what nobody talk about. If I got to live in Columbus, I'm living in Pickerington because of what it's always been for me.
Yeah.
Now, the thing, I think kids are soft. You know what I mean?
I
feel like,
my wife said that all the time, man.
Bro,
like, you got to chill.
It's just soft, bro. I think they're just more timid. I think I value everything just like I value the old school parent. I think that, man, it was at times I feel like my dad probably was a little over the top.
Yeah, y'all doing too much. Yeah, parents was doing a lot.
Would they probably get CVS called on them right now?
Yeah,
for sure.
that. Pick up anything, hit you with it.
I told my son the other day, he said he did something, man. I was like, bro, like, I'm sick of it. Like, you know what I used to have to do, bro? We used to have to stand in the corner, bro, face the wall, hands out, holding cans, dog. Yep. Bro, I don't even think that's legal.
Books over your head, like
bro,
this.
Like this. Arms like, why you think your dad's shoulders is 95% of his upper body? You know what I mean? I was built to be a linebacker before I knew I was going to be a linebacker. And so, I think that's the thing that I don't. like enjoy the most. Some days I just want to go down to the hood.
Yeah.
Show them like just just get out the car and just. But then I'm like, I don't even want that for me. You know what I mean? Like so take for example, like I did some work for Boys and Girls Club down there in the London area, Milo Grogan.
Okay, Milo Grogan.
So I did Milo Grogan. I did some work for them, and I took them with me. You know what I mean? And we pulled up, mind you. I thought I didn't know that the Boys and Girls Club had their own building. So I pulled up at Milo Grogan.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to like tell my kids like, hey, I grew up like.
That's where I be at. Like
Stay close. You know, I don't know what's going on. You know what I mean? I might be clutching the whole time.
Right.
You know? And we, but it was just like good to kind of still like my kids, like I feel like they're so sheltered that they need to see it, bro. And so we do stuff like we partner down. My wife got us doing stuff with. It's not one church. It's a church right there behind Scully's.
Rock City.
Yeah. So they have like some type of organization that's
the Dream Center.
Dream Center.
Yeah.
And we do stuff with them, like during Christmas, we take them,
Yeah.
So it's like trying to figure out how can you expose them to it without like making them feel like scared of it. You know what I mean? Sure. Because ultimately, bro, when you really think about life and even in business and everything, bro, everything's in the city. You know what I mean? And so you can't run from it, right? Like you want to learn to be a great entrepreneur. You can't just master the suburbs. Yeah. Like you have to embrace the city. You have to be in the city. And so, I try to find unique ways to try to get them into the city, and I feel like with me having a production company and different things, like as they get older, now that my oldest is 8, he definitely can roll, you know what I mean? And even my youngest, he'll be 4 here soon. Yeah. I'll be taking them on a lot more stuff. Like that's always the dream. Yeah. Because I feel like if they can go with me, they'll see everything. Yeah. I'm in every different crack and crevice. Now, if I know it's probably a venue I probably wouldn't never want to bring them to, then that's different. Yeah. But I feel like you have to expose them to that. You could, if they don't have that balance, bro, I feel like they're just gonna grow up to know one side. Yeah. And then they're going, that's how judgments and balance people being judgmental and all that type of stuff. Like I want you to understand your culture. Mm-hmm. But I want you to also understand you can pick and choose what you subscribe to too. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like I don't hide rap music from my kids. Yeah. I like rap, bro. Yeah. There's certain artists that I just like. Yeah. I just make sure the Pandora's on explicit content off. You know what I mean? Like just so that they can still get the feel of Kendrick Lamar
to have that balance. You know what I'm saying?
having you know what I mean? Like I want y'all to be able to hear it. You know what I mean? And then I expose them to other stuff. Jazz, it ain't just one way, bro. Yeah. Like, and I feel like that's probably why that was one of the biggest reasons why I want to bring everything I do closer to the home front. Yeah. Cause when you think of life and I worked a 9 to 5. Mm-hmm. You get off work, you might have a job. Yeah. You might have to go do this. You might have to go do that. Yaves might hit you while you at work and be like, hey, yo, I remember you hit me one time. You say, yo, I got Rick Ross down here. This is when he was with the station. He was like, hey, I need you sap. I was like, bro, he was like, I just need you, bro. I was like, bro, look, I wish my boss was not going for
Rick Ross, they just hit me. They just landed. I need somebody ASAP, bro. Like, where you at?
You know what I mean? And so when you like moving and you like shaking and moving, bro, like, I felt like I didn't have enough balance for my family. Yeah. You know what I mean? And, that's big for me,
and that's a big thing,
loving
bro.
on your wife. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, I'm a firm believer in that scripture that says, he who findeth a wife findeth a good thing. Because it's not that he findeth a good thing. You inherited a good thing. So I totally believe that there's some things that was unlocked in my life as soon as I made her my wife.
That favor.
Like, that you would not have ever got. Period. Yeah, you know what I mean? Facts. Like there's just certain things, and I feel like that's powerful, bro. You know what I mean? Crazy. And when I realized that I wasn't really doing the most that I should be doing, or I could be doing, right? And you too busy, you trying to take jobs and X, Y, and Z and do this and do that. Yeah. Like it's cool to be shaking a movie, it's cool to be productive, but it's not always good to be busy. Nah. Especially when you're a father, especially when you're a husband, especially when you got these core duties, bro, at home. Because if you're not here, I always tell people, bro, if my home ain't cool, like I don't invite me nowhere.
Yeah, you can't move like you need to
If you
move.
my homie and I just told you, yeah, me and the wife beefing, don't say come talk to me at the bar or whatever. Nah, bro, I'm not going anywhere, bro. You got to say what you got to say to me right here so I get over this, bro. You know what I mean? Because you got to deal with the home front.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so that's kind of how, you know, I keep that balance there. You know what I mean?
That's good.
Plus, you know, allowing family to be family. My dad, love him to death. I'm named after him.
Yeah.
I feel like he's the amazing dude. You know what I mean? Stepped in when, you know, my mother passed away, took care of us. Like, I credit a lot of my success and my personality, everything to my father. But my dad, you know, him.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right. It is what it is.
And, you know, at the beginning as a parent, especially when you're a God-fearing parent, you know, you really trying to, like, kind of, like, we all try to shelter our kids, that first child, like, like, hey, chill out, man. There's a kid around, you know what I mean? Like, all that, you know, and I feel like that plays a part of the problem, too, you know what I mean? Why they is the way they is. So I feel like you can do it, but then it's like, eventually, you just gotta be people, man, because one day, bro, grandpa might just have them. Like, I don't want them coming home saying,
but that's
Papa
what's important.
This and he's, you know,
they gotta be in those spaces.
The relationship is sour. No, they need to know, like, Papa is this, and I feel like that's just teaching your kids right and wrong.
Yeah,
and I feel like that's simple. My dad used to walk in the room when we all be in trouble. He had 7 boys, and he'd be like, "Hey, only question I got: who in here know right from wrong? Raise your hand." Yeah. And after that, he said, "Go get my belt." Because he don't care. You know right from wrong. Yeah. You know what you should be doing and what you shouldn't be doing. Facts. So my dad never sheltered nothing from us. Man, he used to roll up his own weed. Yeah. My dad used to break down his, like, we used to always be like, "Dad, what you eat?" Be like, "Man, I'm just rolling up cigarettes." Yeah. You know what I mean? Because my mom smoked cigarettes to us in the 90s wasn't looked at like,
like it is now, yeah.
Like, I roll my own cigarettes. He was rolling joints, but like he wasn't just going to just say I'm rolling weed, but like he didn't care either because he felt like this is me. Yeah,
I think that's why it's important to give your kids their own relationship with God for themselves, though. That's what I love about my son. Like he has his own relationship with God. Yes, he learned from us. Yes, he sees how I move, but he talks about it himself. You know what I'm saying? He talk about it to his friends, to his peers, and now his sister, that's 4. She's asking him questions about, you know what I'm saying, about God, about Jesus, about the cross, you know, all that kind of stuff. And I think that's what I'm excited about, to see how he's able to navigate the world with that in his rear view. You know what I'm saying? In his lens.
I think it's fire when you see kids on fire for God, because it has to be organic, right?
Has to be, man.
I don't really feel like you can really force anything on a child, right? Yeah. Because kids are honest. Yeah. They'll tell you, "No, I'm cool."
He can't stand sitting in church, but he loves God.
Like Zay, when we go show up on Sunday, you want to go to kids' church? I'm cool. Yep. Nez, you want to go to kids' church? Yeah, I love it. You know what I mean? Like, and so, you know, you're allowing them to develop. Yes. Organically, and you know, I feel like, man, bro, our lucky thing for this next generation is that they have parents like us.
Yes, I agree with that.
I agree. Know, I totally agree. That's not me tooting my horn and saying I'm perfect or anything like that.
All of my homies are good parents, man.
I feel like everybody I know is solid parents. Yeah. Like, if no matter what they got going on in life, they care about their kids. They care about the way that they being raised. They care about their productivity. And we live in a day and age you can tell when somebody don't. Yeah. Because a kid is an exact reflection of that love that they not receiving, right? Yeah. And so, you know, I think, you know, man, navigating life and business, bro, is all crazy, bro. You know. But I think, like you said, man, getting back to the root of, bro, what do you do it for? Yeah. Who you do it for? Yep. You know, and trying to just make it make sense. You know, you got you have Canvas Consulting. Yeah. Yeah. Talk about what you guys kind of do there at Canvas, man.
So Canvas Consulting, me and my partner Deontay Johnson is co-founder. We got together 7 years ago. It sounds crazy. 7 years ago as freelancers, and said, man, like let's join together. Instead of us working separate as companies, let's come together. He was a graphic designer. I was doing videography, radio production, and so we started an agency. And since then, you know, we now have clients. We've had Nike, Jordan Brand, Franklin County Public Health, Columbus Public Health, Columbus Zoo, Cash Explosion, Ohio Lottery. So we do a lot of work in the space of branding, videography, radio production, and been blessed really to have a company that's been very successful. We went from, you know, just me and him to now 9 full-time employees, which has been a huge blessing.
Giving people jobs, bro.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
crazy.
and
Giving
it's
people
crazy
careers.
because a lot of people don't know this, but a lot of black-owned companies that not only they don't not make it past the first year, but most of them don't have employees. You know what I'm saying? And so when you start having employees, you automatically defeat and defy every single statistic that was against you. You know what I mean? And so, but it works because having a good partner, having a good partnership, putting the egos to the side, not having to be the guy that's always giving all the answers, that helps out tremendously. And trusting each other. And that's what I'm hoping that we as a people begin to do more of. You know what I'm saying? Like whenever I get a chance to put KFC images on a project, I'm doing that. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And I think people got to really be okay with that. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Because it's only going to help us all out.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's not a shortage of money out here.
No.
You know what I mean? Straight up.
No.
We all can be living like we want to live if we spread it around.
I think when you talk about like people trying to go after the bag, I feel like you see a lot of people just going after the same bag, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so, if you see a lot of people going after the same thing, right? It's that one person that's like that realizes like, bro, everybody going over there.
Yeah.
I'm going over here.
Let me see what's over here.
Right? You know what I mean? And you see a lot of people do that, just in business, especially as creating, because a lot of people just owning these LLCs and it's just them, you know what I mean? They just trying to figure it out, right? Trying to figure it out. And sometimes it takes a little bit, bro, to kind of get to that next level. For me, it's all about consistency.
Yes.
Bro. One thing I've been telling people, because I feel like, for one, learn yourself, bro. Learn you and be honest with yourself. What are your flaws, bro? Like, what are the things that you are sucked into, right? Pause. That was crazy.
That was crazy.
That was crazy. But for real though, like, you really gotta like evaluate and analyze your life. I had to look back and look in the mirror and say, okay, EJ, in your past, you've been a taker, you've been a user. Not only that, you going after everything that everybody else wants, right? And like tell yourself and convict yourself of it, right? And then you start understanding like, all right, well, I used to do these things. I know I have these traits. That's not me, right? I don't have to be what I feel like I might have made myself into. Some people get trapped in that web.
Facts.
They done built this identity around what they believe to be the success, and who they are, but truth be told, you much more than that. You know what I mean? And so when I had to look back at myself and look at like just life and just people, bro, like, what did you not do? I was telling my guy yesterday, we was talking as the director of a movie that I'm shooting. And I was telling him, I was like, bro, the one thing about working on sets and working with employees and subcontractors and different stuff, bro, is I always have learned to come look at me first. If I fall out with such and such, right, over a business or whatever, a lot of times the disagreement is always about a standard that we never set for ourselves, right?
Facts.
Like either somebody crossed that boundary, but you never really vocalized that boundary. And so I said, bro, how I'm in relationships when I go through certain different trials and tribulations in my life with people in business, bro, I have to step back and I have to just look and say, like, all right, did you set a boundary for that? You know what I mean? Like, because you didn't set that precedent.
Would you communicate? You know what I'm saying?
Did you communicate that? And I feel like all of us, we claim we all good communicators until it's time to communicate. You know what I mean? If you're a good communicator, bro, by the way you communicate with the ones you love. You know what I mean? Especially when the one you love hurts you, or the one that you kind of, deal with. You know what I mean? Like, we all got those people in our life that we just love them to death, and you just like, you might keep them in this pocket over here, like, bro, I ain't done with you, but you know what I mean? And so, just realizing that, but it all starts with you. You know what I mean?
Yes, agreed.
Yaves, looking over your life, bro, it just seems like, bro, you overcame just so much, bro, and you've always made the best of a lot of the situations that you've been put in. When it comes down to just kind of leaving just some last words, bro, for the community, I definitely think we need to have you back on, bro. I feel like there's a lot of untapped stuff, and I would love to bring you on for an on-account segment where we kind of discuss topics around certain things. I'd love to get your point of view. What word of wisdom would you have just for somebody, bro, that, like I said, man, they just starting off right now, or even a person that's been in the game, they jumping in and out, they burnt out. this or that, man. For somebody that's really been
Yeah.
and kind of like existed and made it through and still moving, right?
Yeah.
Like it ain't stopped. You know what I mean? What tips do you have for them? Because I feel like we
Yeah.
got a lot of our viewers that when they comment, like they talk about just like consistency being
Yeah.
an issue. They talk about having the lack of drive sometimes and moving out of those spaces. I feel like you got some gems that they can that really can help them.
I would say one of the biggest things that I think stuck with me at a very young age was somebody had brought up to me that, everybody has a unique fingerprint. You know what I'm saying? There's nobody that has the same fingerprint that you got. Like it's impossible. You know what I mean? Which means that God made you as a one of one. He made you unique. And so though there can be millions of people who are in the same space as you, there's still only one you.
Right.
Which means that nobody else could bring to the table what you're bringing to the table. And you got to understand that you're valuable and that you're needed and you're necessary. I make sure I remind myself, you know what I'm saying? Not in a cocky way, but that if I'm still alive, if I'm still above ground, I'm still walking the earth, it means that I'm valuable, I'm necessary, and I'm needed. Which means that even when I don't feel like, even when depression's hitting me, even when I don't want to get out of bed, even when money is funny, like I'm still valuable, I'm necessary, I'm still needed. And so that's what I would encourage people with, man. Like you're valuable, you're necessary, and you're needed. Keep reminding yourself that, you know what I'm saying? Like keep telling yourself every day, I'm valuable, I'm necessary, and I'm needed. Even if it don't feel like you are from the people around you, you are valuable, you're necessary, and you're needed because you're alive. So that's what I would leave with people. Those simple things, if you take that into every business transaction, into every sports, you know what I'm saying, arena, into every song you do, like needed, valuable, necessary. Like nobody can stop you.
I'm gonna have to add that to the whiteboard in the studio because I think that's a great reminder. I have my boy Inez. Before he leaves for school, I have him look in the mirror every day and validate himself.
I love it, man.
I am loved. I am kind. I am all these validations.
What'd you do before they went to bed just now? I was listening like that. I'm gonna steal that. You said something to them before they went to bed.
So we got a little mantra where basically I just it's like a pinky promise. You know what I mean? Just promising them that I'm never above you, I'm never below you, I'm always with you.
That's dope.
And just because you go through so much stuff with your kids, so it could be a day where my son not being the best. You know what I mean? And I might have to came down on him. I might have to blow down on him if it's that crazy.
Facts.
You know what I mean? But like that's a mantra that at the end of the night we end with.
That's good.
We start off with the day with it. We end with it because I need you to know it's all love. You know what I mean? Like I don't correct you because the day I stop correcting you is the day you should start questioning if I love you. You know what I mean? I like, and so that's just how we wrap it up. You know what I mean? Man. Like it's something that I seen and I took for somebody else. You know what I mean? Because I just thought it was just so just powerful and dope. And he didn't do it with his kids, but like it was at a wedding, and I just it was just like crazy, like into a toast. I was like, oh, like, I'm going to take that home, you know what I mean? Because I feel like that could be definitely valuable. And you just always want your kids to know that they love, bro. You know what I mean? It's just like men and their wife might have a thing, you know what I mean? Just at the end of the night, like, me and my wife's thing is, whoever in the bed first, you rub the other person's feet, you know what I mean? It's just little stuff like that, bro, that just say, I love you, regardless, you know what I mean? My wife could get in an argument. If I see her feet at the end of the bed, I go ahead and run. It's just that I'm not taking away from what we mad about or whatever, but I love you, you know what I mean? And, it's the same thing, bro. So I'm never above you, man. I'm never below you, I'm always with you, you know what I mean?
That's dope.
So yeah, man. Nah, bro. Yaves, this has been powerful.
Appreciate it, man. Thank you for having me.
I definitely, like I said, we definitely gotta have you back, man. Go ahead and get everybody your information where they can find you.
Yeah, I'm on social media at Yaves Ellis. That's YAVES. Last name Ellis. That's on Instagram. That's on Twitter. That's on Facebook. New Birth Christian Ministries here in Columbus, Ohio, 3475 Refugee Road. Tap in with us.
Yeah, tap in, man. Make sure y'all show some love to y'all, man, because he's doing some amazing things out there. Make sure y'all go follow Canvas Consulting, all the things he's tapped into, man. It might be a resource there for you. You might be able to reach out, and see if you can grow from something that he got going on. You know what I mean? So always looking for people to help. And like y'all seen, what was it? 2 episodes ago, we had Make It Make Sense on the podcast. their initiatives and things that they're doing in the community, and that's all you're part of.
Yeah.
Out there is billion with that canvas. So we definitely thank you. We appreciate you for coming on.
Thank you, man.
And thank you for sharing some of the stories about your life and sharing the dream that you have with us. Try to keep it on and share it because I feel like we talk about
Yeah. Nah, this is good.
I just want people to be able to have real conversations, man.
Yep.
Y'all already know what it is, man. It's episode 15 with your boy Eddie Jackson and the Directors Den. Coming up next, I do believe we have Kai Watts, creative, man, local creative here. He goes to Pick North, young dude, man, like 17, but doing amazing things in the sports world, man. And I'm honored to be able to have him down here in the den and be able to kick it with us. And we're gonna tap into his life, man. Make sure once again you like, follow, and subscribe, and make sure you go run it up on IG. It's the Directors Den. We out.
That was dope, bro.
I appreciate it.